G'day lads, welcome to episode number 65 of the GreenCast, a podcast by me, Mr. GreenText, where I ramble to myself like a madman in the bedroom. So I got a good few things to talk about this week. Look, I know I've already missed a podcast last week, I'm aware. I got busy, and I'm still not sure if I want to actually keep the Sunday upload date of the podcast where I have it now. Sunday is also Australian time, I don't know what that is for anywhere else in the world. Fuck you, figure it out. But, yeah, there's times where it's just like, I don't know, I'm rambling and I'm making stories already. Let me just get into the stuff already. It'll be up when it's up. If I miss a week, there'll at least definitely be an episode the following week. How about that? Let's have it that, guys. Let's make that the new rules of the podcast. If I miss a week, there'll definitely be an episode next week. Hopefully next week as well, I'm looking to hopefully do the elusive podcast where I have my friend on and we talk about how I destroyed a friend group as well. So to those couple people that are asking when that podcast is going to come out and if this is the podcast, that's not this one. Hopefully for the next one. My mate finally said he's down to actually record it, so we're probably going to do that next week. So that'll hopefully be out the next week, and then hopefully I got some other cool guests lined up for that too. But anyway, let's get into the clickbait in the title and the elephant in the room. How do I even begin to talk about this? So, if you somehow don't already know, and some of you might not, there's a popular political satire comedy. I'm not really sure how to completely, how to categorize him. Political satire / comedian FriendlyJordies or Jordan Shanks recently had his producer have what is the full name of it? The Fixated Persons Unit break into his producer, whose name is Christo Lanka, and broke into his home with his mother, tripped over her, kicked the dog on the way out, and plainclothes police basically escorted him off and arrested him. Why? Well, there's a huge amount of backstory to it, and I'll try and briefly get to it. So what happened was that Jordan is basically it's hard to describe the man, I think. I would call him a journalist. I'd call him a new wave journalism. Is that a wanky term to really say? I'm not really sure. Again, ramblings of a madman in my bedroom, hence the title of it. That's a good way to describe him. New wave journalism. He focuses on corruption in New South Wales. Particularly, you might have seen him making the rounds during the Australian bushfires. He named the New South Wales Premier of the state, Gladys Berejiklian, and he gave her the nickname Koala Killer. And that hashtag was trending Twitter for ages, and she still has that tag of the Koala Killer because of how complicit she was during the bushfires, as well as giving out budget to places that are not really so much in need of it, all because they're on their political party, and the places that are most affected and, places that needed it more than other seats just happen to be in the opposite political party, so obviously they didn't get as much of the budget during the bushfire relief, as well as a bunch of other stuff that I am not smart enough and haven't done the research enough to really talk about. But he also began to expose a lot of corruption with the Deputy New South Wales Premier, whose name is John Barilaro, or the fat meatball-looking head cunt, or the pee-pee head-looking man, the ballsack scrotum of a man, John Barilaro. He even wears his political title pork barreling, which is a whole other separate... A lot of this stuff is this thing, but I also don't really know about it. So pork barreling is essentially where, same sort of thing, you kind of do backdoor deals and exploit budgets and give it to places that don't really need it. He kind of wears that badge of honor on his sleeve and doing all that sort of stuff. This is a really different sort of podcast, and I hope you're not immediately turned off by this. I'm getting there to the destroying free speech part. So yeah, he's exposing him, always adding in sort of allegedly in there too. There's a bunch of ward corruption as well. I might even just link a bunch of resources down in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, a bad cunt. I mean, is there a good politician at the end of the day really saying that out loud? So, Jordan then released a video famously called Bruz, where he was talking the entire time about all of these things that he's done, the corruption going on in his own fucking political party, and then also talking about his Airbnb business, and then the bombshell drop of, I was in here the entire time. He actually rented out his multi-million-dollar Airbnb, made the entire video on there. But the problem is that because John Ballolaro is Italian, obviously by the name, so he was doing Italian accents throughout it and doing bits on like Mario and calling him Super Barrelaro Bros and stuff like that. And when the mainstream media caught wind of this, instead of talking about all of the points in the video about his alleged corruption and all of the fuck stuff he's doing, all of they did was single out the fucking accents and relating him back to Mario and calling him racist. And that was the only thing they really ran stories about. And also that he fucked in his Airbnb. And that completely ignoring all of the other points in the fucking 40-minute corruption video. He then followed it up with Bruz Eternal, which after that video, John Ballolaro had allegedly then sued Jordan Shanks, which he never really actually got the papers for it at the time. So it's kind of just like, you're saying I've been sued, but I don't know about that. Would hand off to the media saying about giving them the scoop of, Jordan's been sued. Jordan, for the first time, learned that he was actually being sued through the media, which was kind of fucking funny. Followed it up, tried to go to his lawyers, finally got served it, kind of, did a whole shit meme behind it. And it all came to a head when Christo, the producer of FriendlyJordies, he was with Jordan in the Bruz Eternal video, where Jordan also dressed as Luigi and was asking him why he's been sued. Also asking him, they harassed him. They cornered him at a uni event where he was at, asking him why he's been sued, until eventually, as they've been dragged off by security, he basically just said, because you're a liar, and then off they fucking went for that. And so Christo was just walking to work on his route to the School of Music in Sydney. I don't really know the full actual university. Noticed that John Ballolaro was on the phone standing outside of a car. Immediately pulled out his phone and went, holy shit, I gotta take this chance. And then happened to have the defamation lawsuit in his hands, asking him, hey, why are you so with the boss, and can you fix this? Because the address that he put on the case was actually to Parliament House and not his actual address, which, of course he's played silly buggers with him, because just to fucking stir him up, legally you should have your actual address on it, and he didn't really have that. And so while he's still on the phone, he's asking, like, hey, can you fix this? Why are you so my boss? He gets in the car and off he fucking goes, and he's like, damn. Follows him for like 10 minutes, and he's like, alright, well, I'm not going to catch up with him. Okay. Off he went. And then a following week or so later, it then comes out that John Ballolaro, obviously him, it can't be anyone else, had sent the, let me just look at it again, the Fixated Persons Unit, which is basically the anti-fucking terror squad that, again, this isn't the comedy thing. This is not an informational podcast, where he was, the Fixated Persons Unit was created after the Lint Cafe siege, where a guy tried to hold hostages, and that sort of stuff. You might know it from like 5 or 6 years ago, I think it is, something like that. So yeah, they sent the anti-terror squad to Christo's house, not Jordan's house, to Christo's house, alleging that Christo is stalking John Ballolaro, and followed him out from a funeral when he literally has it on film, when he has the route that he has going to uni and the road, saying that he followed his car for 200 meters, which, again, he has it on film. It's fucking bullshit. And so, yeah, these plainclothes policemen went to his house, and then immediately his parents are like, he told his parents to whip out their phone, start filming. The guy goes in the fucking house, trips over his mum, kicks his fucking elderly dog on the way out too. They have a scuffle, they shove him in the car and fucking off they go. All because people, all because this fat fucking retard of a deputy premier got mad that people were calling him a meatball and was alleging about corruption, which people do this all the time. It's like that's journalism for you. You can't just sweep people away. It's because that Jordan is in this like new media sphere that is so against it. And say what you want about Jordan. Like, I know that some people have mixed feelings about Jordan, but the thing with this situation is that it's not really so much about politics in the sense of I'm on this side and you're on this side. It's really about freedom of speech when it comes down to it. If you can't criticize people in political power without being taken away by the secret police, like, you kind of live in a fucking dystopia. So, yeah, and an update about that as well is that as of a couple days ago, Christo has since been released. He has a lawyer as well, which I'll also leave a link in the description if you want to actually support this fund too. He's lawyered up as well as Jordan, because he's probably going to be thrown on this suit as well somehow. And they're currently fighting the charges. And that was the thing that I fucking forgot to mention too, is that when Christo was arrested, as well as being filed under these stalking charges and all this other bullshit, he was also essentially given a gag order. He couldn't speak about the premier in public. He wasn't allowed to have I don't know the official word, and I don't fucking have it up, and I can't really be bothered to go find it and pause the podcast. But basically, you can't have like caricatures of John Barilaro and like all of these other stipulations where you basically just can't talk about him at all, where they've just essentially gagged him, and it's fucked. And this isn't the first time this shit has happened to protect those people in power. There was famously that case not that long ago where the bishop, some sort of Christian bishop, Catholic bishop, fucking whatever, same thing. He was sentenced, and now he's also sentenced out of fucking jail at the same time. He was sentenced, and then also the media was given a gag order where they can't actually say what he was fucking charged for. They weren't allowed to talk about it during the entire time where, this... just because he's fucking religious. I don't know, man. It's a long way of rambling saying the system is corrupt, man. And fucking Australia this is going to be a make or break case, I think, to be honest. Because if John Barilaro wins this case, then this kind of sets a precedent. And that they can kind of do whatever they fucking want. And it's kind of scary, man. And I was going to make a video on this, but... half the reason is because I got busy, but the other half of the reason is because I got kind of scared. Sure, I don't live in the same state as the man, but other people, like, I'm just going to call him friend of the show, Lewis Spears, when he made a video, literally within hours of him uploading that video, John Barilaro blocked him on Twitter without having any interaction with him previously, as well as his entire fucking YouTube channel got demonetized, man. Like, and I can't afford to have that shit happen. And it kind of puts you in like a rock and a hard place. Like, yeah, so I think this podcast is really, as uninformed, as rambly as it really is the best that I could really do, I think, in this sort of situation, and sort of having it vague, because I don't want to be thrown in. I am, like, sort of scared to a degree of it. But yeah, long story short, if you do want to help out, I will leave a link to Jordan's fund and lawyer fees down in the description, and any sort of money probably help out. I've thrown a little bit of money at him as well. And yeah, that's all I have to really say about that part. My good God, yeah, it's just it's scary, man. It's actually scary that this fucking meatball fuck can just order the police to just take a man from his home, man. Fuck. In other less rambly news and less political fucking satire and whatever the fuck, I did do a bit more urbex this week, and I got a good couple stories about that as well. My friend and I, we wanted to check out this one particular spot in like the Indooroopilly sort of area, or is it Yongapili? Fucking around that sort of south side sort of area where it was. I mean, it might as well say the location now. The old toll building, because that was being abandoned apparently for a little while, sort of like warehousey, sort of in the industrial estate. Apparently, security's been kind of sort of a bit tight, but we're like, we can probably get around with it. We'd heard ramblings and rumors that it may have been demolished, and as we took the trip out there, we were very sad to discover it was actually demolished. So we were kind of a bit down on our luck, being like, fuck, we travelled all this way, we couldn't, the fucking place that we came here is fucking demolished. Shit, what do? We had all of our kit with us, we still wanted to do a bit of urbex, but we didn't really know any other spots around us. So we kind of just started driving down the estate a little bit, and we looked in the distance, and we saw some sort of warehousey sort of looking building where the walls were kind of caved in a little bit, and it looked like it was either under construction or half been torn down, or in the process of being torn down. So we pulled up, got out the car, and we started wandering up the side of it, and it has like all of that temporary fencing along it that you can get like higher construction sites usually get, and that sort of stuff all the way around it. We see a door right above a huge staircase and a window that we could probably easily climb around, but we're walking around, and as we get to the end of the building, we hear some like rumblings of like someone's like obviously there. At first we think of like, oh shit, security guard. But, I mean, we're not technically doing anything illegal. We're just walking along the side of the road. Sure, it's 11 p.m. at night, but we are, we're still allowed to be there. We haven't done anything illegal. Yep. And so we see down this shadowy hallway the figure of a man, and we both kind of just look at each other and go, oh, okay, that's definitely not a security guard. And then we see, like, something get thrown and hit the fucking fence as well, and we're like, what the fuck is that? What is going on? Meanwhile, there's absolutely no light down this fucking hallway. We still can't see who it is. They look like they're in some sort of jumpsuit sort of thing. They don't have a hat. Doesn't look like they have any other security sort of badges or anything of that sort. We start walking back to where we came, and then we see the man come out from the alley and then go up to an electrical box, open it, and then start stripping it. And then we quickly realize, oh, this guy is actually some sort of scrapper. He's fucking yoinking all the cable, man. And then, we start walking back the other way, and we notice, the giant bundles of fucking cable right by the exit. And we're just still standing in the middle of the road, just kind of looking at this dude, just being like, what the fuck is happening? Are we just watching a guy rob a place? And he turns around and just sees two guys standing in the fucking road. And obviously, he probably doesn't really give a shit. He knows that we're not cops or anything like that. He just goes, oh, can I help you boys? And we're just like, oh, hey man, we're just, we're urban explorers. We're just here to check out this place. He's like, oh, okay. And we just asked him, just like, hey, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, just stripping all the copper cables, just going to melt them down and sell them. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, you boys want to come in and check it out? You're more than welcome. And we're like, oh, okay. And he's like, just come in around this spot, around the fence here. There's a big gap. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks, man. And so he shows us, escorts us in a little bit. He's like, feel free, whatever you want. Just don't take my cable over there. That's my pile of stuff. But, man, just feel free to take whatever else there and just let me do my thing. And we're like, okay, sure, man. Will do. And so we wander in, and it's a giant empty warehouse. It looked like there used to be some sort of mechanic or tire shop there at some point. There's giant oil stains on the ground, ripped down walls where toilets are. Looks like there's a showroom sort of space in there too. And the guy kind of comes back inside, and we start chatting to him. And we're talking about how he's going to scrap all this cable and melt it all down and such. And then he starts asking us about Urbex Journal and other places we've checked out. And he mentions this place, and we're like, oh yeah, we've been there, da-da-da. And then he mentions, oh, have you boys been to Lamb House? Which, if you don't know, I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on this podcast. Lamb House is one of the, probably, if not the most famous abandoned house in Brisbane. Which, ironically, is also behind the most expensive house in Brisbane, which is hilarious to see, and a funny thought to have. And we explained that, we'd gone in there and accidentally met a squatter and quickly fucking ran the hell out of there. And the guy starts explaining the heritage of this place and how we got in there not long after it was abandoned, and he's fucking yoinked like rings. He says he's yoinked a fucking tiara from that place, as well as a bunch of photo albums, because it turns out that the husband of Joy Lamb, the owner of the current property, who I think is also since sold to now, saying that, because this house is like built in like the 1900s, so this amateur photographer husband has like really old photos of Brisbane, but also some very sexually explicit photos of Joy Lamb, and then starts explaining like, oh yeah, no, there's a bunch of naked photos of Joy Lamb in here too. And we're just like, hold on a fucking minute. This man literally has one of the most famous women's nudes in all of Brisbane just because he fucking like yoinked it so many years ago. And he explains that like, oh yeah, all these places that he goes to, he just yoinks souvenirs from there. And as we're exploring a little bit more, there's like a big sign of the old business that used to be there, and he went, oh, I'll take that with me, and just fucking rips it off the fucking wall and takes that back to his fucking pile. He tells us about some other spots too. It breaks down about how he melts down all the copper and how much he sells it for. Hung out with him a little bit more. Meanwhile, the entire time on the inside, we still can't see his fucking face. He looked like he kind of have a sort of half-shaved fucking head. And then he had also some sort of like navy overalls and boots, but never got a good look of his face because it was totally pitch black in there as well. So if the police ever asked Lino what the fuck that guy looked like, couldn't tell him. Just a guy in a jumpsuit with a shaved head. Could be any number of fucking crackheads roaming Brisbane doing this sort of shit. But eventually, he's just like, all right, boys, well, I'm gonna get going. Have fun. And then, I just hear him, all the fucking cable hitting the back of some ute, and then fucking off he went. And I'll never fucking see that man again in my life. This man just has a collection of some of the biggest historical pieces of history in Brisbane, just any fucking place, because he thought, oh, that'd be cool. And fucking tiaras and gold rings and that sort of shit. And we were just like, what the fuck just kind of happened? We just literally had a weird, chummy conversation with, like, a legitimate scrapper and someone who just, I don't know what to really think. Like, people have seen these sort of things and heard about them, and people, been annoyed about stripping it. And we even asked, just like, oh, is it really even worth that money and the effort? It's like, oh, no, not really, but it's kind of a little bit of fun. It's like, all right, yeah, we'll catch you later, boys. I'm just going to go have a beer. And then fucking, like I said, off he went. I'll never fucking see him again. And my friend and I are just like, what the actual fuck just happened? Roamed around a little bit more, got some more cool photos and videos. Those will be up on my TikTok sort of soon. Yes, I have a TikTok. Go follow it. It has some bangers on there, whatever. Might even do a compilation of it at some point, because I have so much urbex stuff at this point. But yeah, kind of slinked our way back out after exploring, and then we're like, whoa, that was a thing that fucking happened. And then there was one other spot that we went to that night where my friend had been to, I think, once before, and kind of wanted to go check it out now because it was still in, like, pretty freshly abandoned at that stage. And when we got there, it was on, like, a pretty steep hill as well. And when we got there, it was basically just the foundation of the house and then just a bunch of all of the wooden studs holding up the rest of the roof and everything else. All of the walls were gone. All of the fittings were ripped out. Pretty much everything was gone. It was pretty much, I reckon, another week. Or even at this point now, I think that building's probably completely gone at this point. Because it was down along a main road too. It had probably about 2 meter high weird brick stone fencing as well. And so we kind of just had to hop that down, and we didn't realize the other side was like a 3 meter drop, so we half kind of sort of fucked ourselves up, jumping down from there as well. And then just explored this very strange home of like walking through what would be hallways, but then being able to see right through the entire house. And the most eerie part of that entire thing was we found two separate like memoir pamphlets of people who had died in the last like 5 years ish, and it's like we don't know if it was the owner, we don't know if it was the mother or whatever, but it's just like just in the middle of the floor, which was strange, and like what seemed to be an active work site and everything too. And yeah, quickly did all of our stuff and got some more footage of all that. Had to be careful because there's also a bunch of apartments right next door, which is probably what this place is going to be knocked down for as well, which is kind of ironic. Explored downstairs, which was, I guess, where they threw all of the shit and all of the stuff that was left behind by the previous owner of the house, because it was just all piled up against the walls and sopping wet because it had been raining the previous night as well and dripping everywhere. And yeah, hopped the fucking fence and then made our way back home, and that was the latest fucking urbex trip, meaning a fucking scrapper and a half-destroyed fucking house of an active build site. I was also on set this week as well for the first time this year, and probably about a whole year in general, which was nice. One of my good mates brought me on for a commercial, and one of the main things I had to do, or had to help out with the production, I had to find a jacket for this commercial. And the aesthetic was, imagine Oliver Tree, sort of 90s windbreaker, multicolored sort of jacket. I basically had to find that, and I had like 5 hours to find something like that for the production. And so I had to go on like a giant adventure. And I could talk about that for ages, but there was one store I did end up finally getting a jacket from, and that was... Oh, I fucking hate even saying their fucking name because I hate them so much. I went in to Culture Kings. If you don't know what Culture Kings is, imagine a store designed for lads by lads. And I'd heard the rumours. I didn't think it could have been that bad of a fucking store. And as soon as I fucking walked in, I immediately cringed because of how much I fucking despise it immediately. From the start, this store has a store DJ in a DJ booth above everybody. So walking in there, I could hardly even hear my own fucking thoughts because it's so fucking loud. And if I want to talk to any assistant, I have to get this fucking close to them and ask them and half shout at them to ask what I fucking need and want. And they literally have an entire wall filled with snapbacks. Who the fuck wears snapbacks in 2021? Oh, it's the worst kind of fucking hat. As well as the other wall is lined by fucking like Nike Air Maxes and other laddie sort of fucking jackets and that sort of stuff. But I'm like, sure, if anyone's gonna fucking have this jacket, it's gonna be Culture Kings. And so I'm wandering around. I find finally the jackets, and then a guy literally comes up to me and asks me, hey, and he literally says to me, hey bro, do you need a hand? And I kind of just look at him, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm after a jacket like this, it's for a commercial. And I just see his fucking like eyes light up, go, oh bro, for a commercial? I know the thing that'd be perfectly, that sounds sick as, bro. And literally talks like a lad too. I'm like, oh no, the rumors are true. Escorts me to the back of the place, shows me a jacket that he think might work. It's how do I even describe this jacket? I don't have it anymore, thank Christ. But it's, imagine Mighty McFly's hat on a jacket, but statically it's only like a really deep grey. It's only when you shine light at it then it reflects and gives you that like multicolor reflection like the Mighty McFly hat. And I try it on and I'm like, oh man, this is kind of big. What size is this? And he says, oh, it's a large, man. And I'm like, oh, can I just get it in like a size small? And he's like, oh, we don't make sizes smaller. And I'm like, what do you mean? Large is the smallest you have? And he's like, yeah, we only make large. And I'm like, what kind of fucking... what? What kind of store is that? Imagine that, your fucking customer base, that is just a bunch of skinny cunts. And all... no wonder why they all look fucking so stupid. Well, their clientele been fucking built like a fucking daddy long leg spider, and jackets that only come in a size large. No wonder why they look so fucking stupid and no one takes them seriously. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll fucking take the large. He tickets me out and fucking off I go. And so I come back the following couple days or so, because I don't really... we didn't end up using it. Oh, also as well, when we're going through the checkout, he just hands me 2 coins, which I still have the fucking coins because I just didn't use them because I didn't have time. He hands me 2 coins that just have the Culture Kings logo on them. And then I'm just like, oh, what is this? What the hell am I supposed to do with this? And he's like, oh, go over there, bro. Go put that in. You can maybe win some stuff. And it's just like a claw machine with like Nike fucking Air Maxes in there where you could just, I guess, if you pull it and land it, I guess you get one of them, one of the pairs, which, you know, I'm immediately going to resell if I do that. I still have the coins, so begrudgingly I might go in there just to fucking get rid of them because I don't know what to do with these coins fucking otherwise. And he's like, as I go through the checkout, the guy's like, oh, I've got to give you some free socks as well, bro. And I'm like, cool, I don't really want them, but sure. And throws like 3 pairs of Culture King socks in there too that I'm immediately going to fucking throw in the bin because I don't want to be seen with Culture Kings anywhere on my fucking body, for sure. And so I come back a couple days later because I ended up having to use my card instead of the production's card because a whole other separate thing. But I'm like, hey man, I just want to return this jacket. Didn't work for what I needed it for. Hang on, just move that fucking over. Give me a moment. Didn't end up needing it for what I needed it for. I just like my money back. And he's like, oh, we don't do refunds, mate. We only do store credit. And I'm like... what? I don't want anything in the store, man. I just want my money back. I hate this store. He's like, oh, sorry, man. Wait, unless there's something wrong with the product, we don't do refunds. And I'm like, well, I don't know, fucking, I don't like it. That's the reason why it doesn't work for me. Fucking, I didn't know what to really say. I was just like, I don't know, it didn't work for me. That's what's wrong with it. And he's like, no, sorry, man, no can do. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I saw the other guy who sold it to me yesterday, and he, like, comes back over and he's like, oh, hey, man, how'd it go? And I'm like, yeah, went okay, but they didn't like the jacket, and I need to kind of return it. And he went, oh, okay, man, what did you want to get instead? And I'm like, I don't want anything, man. I just want my money back, please. And he's like, oh, sorry, we can't do that, man. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I have everything in there. I have the receipt and everything that still has the label on the jacket. The tag of the jacket, I should say. I just wanted to get out of the store. I still fucking can't hear my own fucking thoughts over the DJ. And I need this money too, because I needed it to fucking pay rent the next day as well. So I literally went to the city specifically to return this dumb fucking jacket. And I've been told, sorry man, you can get the new Nike Air Maxes or fuck off. And I'm like, oh. And so, just in my utter rage, I'm like, cool, well, fucking shove it up your ass then. And then I fucking walk out the store, because I absolutely do not want to stay in there for another fucking second. I called my friend who helped me on set, and he reimbursed me for the jacket, and, you know, a couple of days later, he picked it up and, you know, got some store credit in case he wants to go to that store again. Which I also later found out, for whatever fucking reason, if you order from the Culture Kings website, you can do online returns, no drama. But if you order from a physical store, they don't do it, for whatever fucking reason. And it just, I didn't think a store could be that bad. Oh, it can. It can be that fucking bad. And its name is fucking Culture Kings. Oh, God. Just so infuriating. Speaking of infuriating as well, I'm also getting into it while I'm in this shouty fucking mood. I went to go see A Quiet Place 2 today. And it's currently like Friday right now. And school holidays is not supposed to start till next week here. For their like winter break. For whatever fucking reason, I saw there's a bunch of kids out, and I guess they got fucking Friday off today for some reason. And I love to go to the cinemas by myself because, about the middle of the day on a weekday, there's no one really there apart from other old people, so it's usually pretty empty and, works for someone who just likes to go see movies. Usually discounted as well. And A Quiet Place was definitely one of the films that I needed and wanted to see in cinemas just because, the whole premise of the film is that it's really quiet and has an amazing soundtrack and sound mix to it and everything. So I wanted to experience it in the cinemas and, have that surround sound system with it. So that's why I'm just like, I need to go see this. Fast and Furious 9 recently came out and it reduced a lot of the showings for Quiet Place and, might only be in cinemas for a couple more weeks before it gets booted out for some other retarded big blockbuster. And I get in there, and since I guess they had their day off, like 75% of the theater was filled with teenage girls for some fucking reason. And so watching the film, I just had, girls scream and then laugh, and then I had people fucking whispering the entire time. People fucking trying commentating behind me as well, just being like, oh, he kind of looks hot, or like, ooh, no he doesn't, not anymore, and just shit like that just nothing infuriates me more, apart from maybe Culture Kings, than people that fucking talk in the cinemas. And I literally yelled at them to, hey, shut up, and I wasn't the only one. And the second person to shut up could literally hear them just go, shut up, and doing the fucking the mocking voice of them too, which is just nothing fucking worse. And it's just, I can't win, I can't do anything at that fucking point. And there's literally points during the film where I'm just like, I think I would rather get up and leave the theater not knowing how the rest of this fucking ends than sit here with this fucking audience and having to listen to them and bear these fucking people in here. But I thankfully did stuck it out, and then immediately as it ended, I very much power walked out of that fucking cinema. And so, long story short, never again. If I'm going on a Monday or a Tuesday. Definitely not anywhere towards the weekend, and absolutely, definitely not going during school holidays because I don't want to have to deal with people again. Oh, Christ. Alright, so let's get into the most artistic part of this podcast, and that is, of course, where I answer questions, queries, and talk about topics that you guys submit to me. So if you ever want to interact with the podcast, you can either go into the Discord and jump to the GreenCast channel, throw stuff in there, and then I'll probably maybe read it on the podcast if it's not too autistic like the thing says, or just complete memory because I just won't read it then. Or if you want to remain more anonymous and share some fuck story you do with me, you can email me at mrgreentext@gmail.com. So, let's see, we have Military Humvee Requiem asks, you better answer this time, do you have a fatty? Now, I'm not quite sure what he means in references to fatty. If he means that I have a fat ass, I'd say I have a medium to fat ass. It's kind of pretty toned. I do a lot of kickboxing and Muay Thai stuff, so I've got some pretty fucking toned legs and buttocks. If he means penis, pretty average penis. Nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to brag home about. Yeah. I don't know what else to really say about that. Sideburns guy says, who would you rather fight? A stingray that killed Steve Irwin, spelled Irwin wrong, disgusting, or a drop bear? I'm about to expose a huge secret that a lot of other Australians might be a little bit mad about me. That drop bears actually don't exist. It's a little thing that Australians made up to make fun of Americans because they're a bunch of dummies. Drop bears actually don't exist. It's a myth that we created simply to make Americans scared of Australia. Drop bears are in fact, or usually in reference to koalas, which, they very much stay in trees, and are also definitely not fucking bears at the same time. So would I rather fight a koala or the stingray that killed Steve Irwin? I'd assume I'd be in either of its territory. I think I'd have more of a chance of drop kicking a koala than I would actually in the ocean trying to kill a fucking stingray, because that thing could just, obviously sting and kill me. But yeah, it's always funny. There's a lot of things like that where whenever an American asks an Australian dumb things like that, or it's like, oh, I heard you rode kangaroos to Australia. An Australian hears that and goes, oh, here we go, I'll fucking wind him up. And he'll just agree, and also just, see how far you can push it. Whether it be like, oh yeah, we put them in saddles, or we ride in pouches, or, we get in their pouches and ride them to school, and shit like that. If an Australian sees a chance to wind up and take the piss out of an American, they will jump at the chance, because we love nothing fucking more. Striker asks, femboys, yes or no? No. Traps are gay. And I'll be honest, that's about all of the somewhat decent answerable questions I really have here. Oh, Christ, yeah, not too much. So yeah, a little bit of a short episode, but yeah, like I said, next week's episode will be the famous how I destroyed a friendship episode. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, of course, again, if you want to interact with the podcast, jump in the Discord, go into the GreenCast Discord chat, and then drop it in there. My brain's mushed today for whatever fucking reason. Or email me, mrgreendex.com. Do it either one. Whatever, I don't care. Do or don't. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, the secret phrase. I keep forgetting to do those. Yeah, I don't know. So if you made it the whole way through this podcast, let's make it free speech. What do you think of free speech? Do you think you have it in your country as a part of your constitution? It's definitely not ours. Include it in your comment, and I'll give it a little heart, and that way I know you made it the whole way through the podcast. Alright, that's it. I'll catch you later, cunts. Goodbye.